Anyway, let's talk about the latest embarrassment from the MAGA moron movement. Now, Epstein. They've been talking about this Epstein thing for quite some time and pretending like they care about the kids and the sex trafficking. That's one of the scams that they do. This is more so the right wing influencers, and then they influence their audience, and their audience, they go around talking about the stuff that they're told to think about. But ultimately, this stuff it's scams, right? You have a lot of emotional people in this country, not just on the right, um, but in particular on the right, and you have these elites and opportunists who take advantage of how emotional a lot of Americans are to manipulate them to make money and for political reasons. And, they try different things to try to manipulate the American conservatives. And when they find something that works, whether it's DEI or CRT or the border, they're taking our jobs, white people are under attack, whatever it is. Once they find something that these very emotional Americans respond to the most, then they just lean in on it hard. Then that's all they talk about day in and day out. Well, one of the many things was, and I guess it works with the whole, you have the evangelical movement, and these people tend to be conservative, and you know their beliefs are supposed to be about goodness and doing the right thing, and they would certainly be in theory against children being abused and you know sex pests and things like that, right? In theory, this is things that they would care about. Now, when the priests are doing it, maybe not so much, but in that case, maybe we should protect the priest and cover it up. But otherwise, this is a group of people that responds very well to this sort of protect the kids type of rhetoric. So, enter Mr. E. And more importantly, enter a very, very valid connection to Clinton, right? So, one of your political opponents has a direct tie to this dude who was one of the biggest traffickers in history, right? So this makes it nice red meat. So they keep talking about this, oh, Epstein this and da 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 da, and on the island and the girls and whatever, whatever. And to the casual observer, it sounds like you have a bunch of people that are very concerned about the women and the kids and whatever. But really, it had nothing to do with that at all. They didn't care at all, one bit. They were just emotional people being manipulated, as usual, by right wing media and the Republican Party. And the way they were manipulating them is into, one of your political opponents was doing some very dirty things with some, girls, women, whatever it is, right? So, really, the focus and attention on the list wasn't to do anything with the women or the victims. It was purely as an attack on Clinton and the Democrats, right? That's all it was, right? The Democrats are perverts. They're grooming our kids, and naturally, they're tied up with this Epstein dude. Now, I did a video earlier about how easy it is to manipulate Americans, especially MAGA. And this is yet another example of how easy that is, because we started seeing a lot of evidence that the leader of the MAGA movement himself had a lot of direct ties to this guy and the stuff he was doing. And again, remember what I said in my earlier video? I said you can easily hand wave away, like to the right wing audience. Like if I'm a right wing media guy and I want to protect Donald Trump, it is very easy for me to do, right? So when they try to connect Donald Trump to this Epstein guy, all I need to do is find a little something, anything, doesn't matter how weak it is, and they'll believe it. So What's the talking point? Trump says, this guy was in my club, and I don't know the exact story. Something like maybe he got some complaints or he did something, right? So, I kicked him out. I kicked him out of the club. I kicked him out. Yeah, I didn't because I surely I'm not down with the stuff he was doing, so I got rid of him, right? And you could put that out there, and just stupid MAGA audience, they'll be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, he kicked him out," right? I mean, no critical thinking, no intellectual curiosity. I mean, let me put it out there for people that may not get it. Um, let's just say I was a billionaire and I was doing some really disgusting stuff with some guy that does trafficking, right, behind the scenes. And it's not really public knowledge yet. So I have him in my club. So I have this big club and he's a member of the club. Very bad guy, but a lot of people don't know that, right? So he's in my club and everything's cool. Then he might do some shady stuff or something comes out bad about him and it's not a good look for me. Right now, remember, I'm doing stuff with this guy. I'm involved, right? I'm doing some very, very disgusting things with this guy, right? But what is my motivation currently? My motivation currently is branding. I may be doing dirty stuff with him, but I don't want people to know what I'm doing with him, and I don't want to be associated with somebody that has this negative reputation. I mean, to give you another analogy that's not so close to home, imagine that I am some kind of big drug kingpin and I'm really good at it. So people don't even know that I'm a drug kingpin, right? I'm in the shadows, right? No one really knows what I'm up to, right? And one of my friends who's involved in this drug enterprise, a lot of people don't know either. Maybe it could be a politician. So I'm doing some drugs and I got this politician and he's doing something to help me. So we're in cahoots and no one knows about it, right? But then this politician gets exposed somehow, right? So he gets exposed, and people say, "Oh, Senator whatever is doing some drug stuff," and then I kick him out of my club because people know that I'm close with this guy, and if he's doing all this drug stuff and I'm close to him, it's not a good look for me. Now remember, I'm a drug kingpin, right? I'm the drug kingpin, so I'm definitely involved. But yet I kick him out of my club, right? Not because I have a problem with what he's doing, because I'm doing it too, but because it's bad for business. But typical MAGA audience, they would never think of something like this. You could literally just point out Trump kicked him out of the club, and it's like, hey, kick him out, tell you proud of it, right? And it doesn't matter the amount of evidence, just dumb, dumb, dumb. I mean, we have a lot of sheep in this country, but MAGA, they're like the poster child of American sheep because the guy was in his club, the guy was hanging out with Epstein for quite some time. 1 second, I gotta. So, Facehead says, wig bro, using shampoo. Okay. Anyway, so you have pictures of Trump with Epstein. Epstein says he was good friends with Trump for like 10 years. And of course, most of them aren't even aware of this, right? Because right-wing media, state media, hide a lot of information from them. Their job is to present to them everything that makes their political opponents look bad and hide things that make, Trump and his administration look bad, right? So typical MAGA person is going to be very informed about all of the most popular attacks on the very corrupt Democratic Party that I'm not a fan of, never been a registered Democrat, probably never will be, or Republican, for sure. I'm an independent, and it doesn't really matter what amount of evidence you have, right? Trump was asked about releasing the Epstein files, and he gets all nervous and, well, it's not good people and this and that and da 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 da. And so what does right wing media do? They edit the video, right? They edit the video, cutting out Trump hesitating to answer the question, and they show him saying, "Yeah, sure, I'll release the files." And then these same people believe the BS about Kamala Harris interview getting edited when the news released the full version and the word salad was just the same. So it's like she gave a word salad answer like she normally does, and the news media only showed some of the word salad answer as they edit everything, right? They don't show the whole thing, right? That's what they normally do. But the way they cut it, it didn't really make her look better. I mean, she still had a word salad answer. It's just that there was like a longer version, which they did release anyway. And these same MAGA morons, like they'll jump on that. Oh, they try to protect Kamala Harris and all that in the video. Meanwhile, you can ask Donald Trump about releasing the files, and he can be all hesitant, as he always is. Every time they talk about Epstein, he acts weird, right? They don't say anything about that, right? He does a weird answer. They edited it out, and this is not, you know, if you saw the edited version and the full version is basically the same thing like with Kamala. No, the edited version made him look like what they would want him to look like. A guy who was like, yeah, I'm going to release the Epstein files. If you watch the full video, he's kind of like, well, the Epstein files, I don't know, right? Kamala is like, edited version, word salad, right? I don't remember what the question was, but whatever her to, we're going to do better, and better is what we're going to do. Right? Full version. We're going to do better, and better is what we're going to do, and things will get better, and things will go in an upward direction, and better is better than what we'd get with the other guy. And it's like, ooh, they're trying to manipulate the election. But Donald Trump clearly squirming when asked about Epstein once, and it's not a one-time thing or a two-time thing. Almost every time this comes up, Trump gets weird, but they don't see any of that stuff. And it's easy for them not to see it because they don't really care about the kids or the women or the victims. They don't care about any of that stuff. And proof in that is, I would like you to prove me wrong and let me know about what other sexual predators is the right wing concerned about that are not somehow tied to liberals or the Democrats, right? If they really cared about that, tell me about which kids that are being assaulted by their teachers. I mean, because this is happening. This is something that I believe has been growing over time. There's a lot of things that to be concerned about in terms of kids being harmed, but I don't see right wing talking about it, right? The only time that right wing talk about women being trafficked or something with kids, it's all partisan nonsense. It's attached to the border, right? Because you look at the border, look at all the talk about fentanyl. If not for the border rhetoric, I can almost guarantee you the right wing wouldn't care about fentanyl. That would not be a talking point. The reason for the fentanyl talking point is because it connects with the border rhetoric, right? That's all it is. And even the child sex trafficking, they talk about that, but it's with the border. Because the thing is like, okay, the border, we need to close the border, whatever, it's open borders, right? So as a right-wing influencer, I need to feed them, reasons why the border is bad and we need to close it or whatever. And they'll take it. They'll take all the bait, all the red meat. So I just say, oh, they're trafficking the ladies. And then all of a sudden the right-wing audience will pretend to care. Oh, those poor Mexican ladies are being assaulted. Like they give a fuck, right? And then you talk about the fentanyl's coming in the country and people, again, I want you, all these things that they're making all this noise about, I want you to look on the social media accounts of these same people and find me where they're talking about fentanyl, where they're talking about sex trafficking, where they're talking about kids, disconnected from partisan politics, right? So tell me about the story that's floating around right wing media that Joe Rogan's talking about, that Tim Pool's talking about, that Stephen Crow's talking. Tell me the story that they're all talking about that's not somehow linked to DEI or something with the LGBT whatever, or it's a Democrat that's doing it, or it's a blue state that's doing it. I want you to tell me even one story that you can point out that is popular in the right wing that is not connected to tribal politics. You will not be able to find it. These people do not care about the women, the kids. They don't care about God, religion, country, family. They don't even care about their fellow MAGA members. You could have a fellow MAGA member having a small business being destroyed by Trump's policies, and the MAGA people don't give a fuck. Right? If you push them hard enough, they'll come with some kind of excuse and say, well, they messed up and, this thing's happening. That's the risk you take when you're going into business. They only care when it happens to them. Right? And I even had someone admit it recently. Someone on some news story I was watching, and they got burnt through Trump's policies. And the person literally slipped it out, and he said, I didn't really care before. I don't know the word they used, but they basically very specifically pointed out that they weren't as much concerned about certain things because it didn't affect them directly. Now that it's affecting them, they're like, what the hell is going on? Right? This is who MAGA is. Right? So let's get to the point of this video, why I wanted to bring this up. So Trump administration just released saying that there is no Epstein list and there's nothing to investigate, and they're closing off the investigation. Remember all the years of Epstein this, Epstein that, and the Biden is trying to hide it and whatever. Now they're in control. They're the government. They have the power. They have the files. So says Pam Bondi. Right? And all of a sudden, nothing to see here. And let me tell you the truth about things, right? So some would tell you that MAGA is actually principled, and they are rejecting this shutting down of the investigation. Sure, if things get bad enough, like the standards are very low, like they will let a lot of stuff slide, but even they have limits, and things are so cartoonishly embarrassing right now that of course right-wing media has to pretend that they care. So in this moment, they're all gonna do their January 6th, oh, this is wrong and what's happening and whatever, and we need to get the Epstein list. But in that same moment, I want you to notice something very, very, a particular detail. They are talking awful lot about Pam Bondi. Let me illustrate something. Trump could literally hire personally 50 people to work on this Epstein investigation, right? And every single one of them could do whatever the hell they want to do. Oh, there's nothing to see here, whatever it is, right? And no one in the MAGA movement will put the blame on Trump, right? People are saying right now, Pam Bondi lied to us because she said she had the list, and now they're saying that they don't have the list. Did she lie to you, or did she tell the truth? Was she telling the truth when she said it was on her desk, and now they're trying to cover it up and lie that they don't have it? And who's covering it up? Trump's people, right? But somehow it doesn't matter. It's just like MAGA treats Trump as such an alpha, and he's a big leader, and he's a beast, and whatever it is. But yet they also treat him like a baby, right? Like nowhere else would they treat someone like this, where all this is happening around this guy. It's his people, his administration. He's in charge, and he's supposed to be the boss. He's not a clueless person like liberal media says, right? He's the boss. So he would be sharp enough to hire good people. And if his people are doing garbage, he would be firing them and replacing them, right? And that's not to say Pam Bondi won't be fired in the end as a scapegoat. But the thing about it is, again, this is how dumb MAGA is. Like, as a right-wing media guy, I could easily protect Trump by putting the focus on Pam Bondi. And I'll be like, well, Pam Bondi this and Pam Bondi that, and what's Pam Bondi really doing? And you know what? They said this, and now Pam Bondi promised this, and Pam Bondi, Pam Bondi, Pam Bondi. And the audience will be like, yeah, that Pam Bondi, like, let's get rid of her. And none of them will stop and think, but wait a minute, what about Trump? Why is it that when we ask him about Ghislaine Maxwell, whatever her name is, he's wishing her well? Why did Trump wish well one of the biggest sex traffickers the world has ever seen? They're not wondering about that. Why was he best friends with this guy? They don't care about that. Why was he talking about, oh, how Epstein likes him young? That's his buddy. Why? They're not talking about that. Why was Trump literally flying in Epstein's jet just last year? They don't want to talk about that. Right? And if you're a right-wing influencer, I just told you the secret. They know already. Just keep talking about Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi, Pam Bondi, Pam Bondi. And if things gets really bad, all Trump has to do is fire her and say, well, I trusted her and I don't know what happened. And then if things continue, this is not going to happen, first of all. Like, MAGA is going to move on so fast. They're going to move on from this so fast because they don't give a fuck about the trafficking with the kids. They don't care about that shit. So a couple months, they'll be gone. But let's just say they were principled and they keep putting pressure. All Trump has to do, fire Pam Bondi, and then if that's not good enough, then the next thing is Patel or whatever his name is. Then he gets fired, and then they put up some story that, you know, Trump was generally trying to release the files, but it looks like some neocons somehow snuck in and they lied to Trump and they promised him whatever, and it looks like Pam Bondi and Patel or whatever his name is, they must have deleted the Epstein files. We gotta put them in prison. Da, 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 da. Meanwhile, Trump is over there laughing at how dumb his base is. Anyway, this is Baby Channel, the Baby comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. Facehead. Thanks for joining, Facehead. And I'm out! Oh, where's my sheep? I gotta go out with my sheep. Yeah! Yeah! Ciao! MAGA sheep. So easy to fool MAGA. So easy. Oh, don't worry, MAGA. It's not Trump. It's Pam Bondi. Trust me. Believe me. I'm telling you the real news. Unlike liberal media, those guys are lying. But me, Steven Crowder, and Tim Pool, and Ben Shapiro, we're telling you the real truth. And it's not Trump. Trump would never do anything bad. He's not a rapist. It's all the Democrats and Pam Bondi, and it's everybody but Trump.